The wrist, there's two tape jobs with the wrist. You can have hyperflexion or you can have hyperextension. Remember how we were doing turf toe?
Yeah.
So with turf toe, you could tape on the front or you could tape on the back to resist the painful motion. So for the wrist, we have a similar movement. So the beginning of the tape job for both are going to be the same. I'm going to have you make a nice fist for me and put it right into my gut right here. This is going to accentuate the forearm flexors. I'm going to start just about on the wrist here and make my first anchor. Okay? Right around the wrist, and then a second anchor, overlapping by half around the wrist. Step one. Then I'm going to have him slide his fingers like this. Okay? You see how he has a crease in the hand here? And we were practicing that with our thumb tape jobs. We're going to do the same kind of strap. Okay? Lengthen our tape, pinch, put it right in the thumb, lay on the back of the hand, follow that crease along to the front of the hand. So we can meet it back up at the front. And that's anchor 2. Okay? Now from here, this is the one time I'm going to allow you to tape not on the person. We're going to create a fan.
Hold on a second. Can I get somebody right there? One of you guys, can you go right there? Next to the girl in the purple? Yeah, so you're just seeing over your shoulder. Perfect, thank you. Okay?
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure our fan. So the fan has to go from the one anchor to the other anchor. Once I have my measurement, I'm going to lay it out on the table like so. Now for the wrist, we're going to use a 3-point fan. So then we're going to cross it, so our X is in the middle, and cross it again. So our X is in the middle. Small this way. And then I'm going to put one more right in the center. And this is going to create our fan. So once we have our fan here, we're going to take it and place it right in the center so that the X goes over the crease of the hand. Now some things to really remember here is that he needs to get opposition of the thumb, right? So you don't want it too far into the thumb. So for your girls who have smaller hands, you may not be able to use the full strip tape because you don't want it going too far into the thumb. Once I have it on the base of the hand here, I'm actually going to seal it in place. So put your hand right here and spread your hands. Okay? And I'm going to actually seal that in place. So pinch, come back around, rotate, and come back around. Seal that in place. And make sure that's well molded in. If you don't make sure it molds, it's going to stretch. Now, I have to figure out what range I want to prevent. What movement do you think I'm trying to prevent if I use this movement here? Hyper?
Extension.
Extension, very good. So it's going to hurt the end range. We want to prevent end range hyperextension. I'm going to come into a little bit of flexion. This ends up right at the crease of the wrist. Place my tape down and make sure that this is going to work. So I'm going to test it on the table and make sure he's not going to get the hyperextension. So that we're going to have our functionality in that tape job. Once we're sure we're at the right distance, we then come through here, make your fist actually, into here. And what you're going to do is seal that in place, right over my anchors. One, like so, right over the anchors. One.
Can you look more interested? Like lean in a little bit, because you look just a little bored.
More interested, okay? Like so.
There we go.
So, we have a tape job that prevents hyperextension. Very simple.
What about like this thing?
What thing?
Like when you put the fan, like doesn't the skin kind of like bunch up?
Go.
Like doesn't that hurt?
No.
No, that's alright.
No.
It's
What's
just
that?
if you pull too much.
It pulls on the top of the skin.
Exactly, that's
So if the athlete is sensitive, what you can do is you can take the pro wrap, put the pro wrap right around the side, and then go on the top and the bottom, and that won't adhere anywhere along the side here. The key thing here, though, is that your X needs to enter up in the center of the joint. Okay? So equal distance between your X and the center of the joint here, so you want to have that in the center of the joint. That's the strongest part of your X, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any questions on that tape job?
The anchor that you made in the middle right here, how come that's really, are you supposed to
Because he
tighten it up?
slays it. If you do it too tight, if they try to close a fist, it's going to hurt along the side of the joint. So you have to make sure that when you do your test before your seal, you make sure that your tape job is doing the job it's supposed to, because it's going to lift a little bit. So you always have to make sure you test. In fact, for this one is one of the ones I actually teach you guys to come into a little bit of flexion.
But wouldn't that loosen it if it's not tight?
No, if you come into a little bit of flexion before you put the fan on, when you put the fan on, it will stop it from blending. So remember the tape stretches, and then this is going to lift up a bit, so it will stop the movement that you're supposed to stop. So a little bit of flexion. Don't come here, because he's not going to be able to straighten out his arm, his wrist. But just a little bit of flexion, and that will hold it in place. Okay? All right. So the next one we're going to do is the